Going to lead us in then. And 3, 2, 1. All right. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to click. I'm going to say go. Click on go. Okay.
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary. Today we're going back in time. We're actually going to go back to the version 1.24. This was a couple years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, something like that. Probably not 4 years. This is actually a ZOTAC match. So you may have seen it, you may not. We don't actually know exactly what ZOTAC round it is or what ZOTAC number it was itself, though we have two really good players, and we'll get to those guys in a second because, first of all, we actually are going to be joined by two co-casters today. It's going to be a bit of an possibly a hectic format. We're going to see if it works. If we like it, we'll keep it maybe for some stuff, and if not, we won't. But either way, there's still going to be me doing solo cast. There's still going to be me and Ricky doing cast. There might be me and Carson doing cast. Who knows? If you don't know who Carson is, that's what we're about to introduce. First of all, co-caster Bidoux, hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Everyone knows you. Of course, you're famous.
Obviously.
And then we also have Carson. Hello.
Hello.
All right, so Carson he's Carson. So that's all of the groundwork, and I'm going to quickly introduce our players because these are pretty exciting people. This is Turtle Rock, and in the 12 or the 11 o'clock position, we have Mojawi FoCuS spawning in as the Orange Orc, indeed. And he's going first.
Wait. It's Melting Valley.
And you're right, absolutely, Ricky. This is indeed Melting Valley. I don't know what I was thinking. But yes, let's introduce our players the proper way. We have in the lower left, Mojawi FoCuS, spawning in as the Blue Orc, and he will be playing Mojawi Space, spawning in as the Pink Undead in the upper right. Now, the map is Melting Valley, as we just clearly showed perfectly well, and this is obviously for ZOTAC many years ago, so this is a very old school game, and of course Mojawi Space, I don't really think he plays a lot anymore.
No, he does not.
But you know something about his condition, right? You know how, I don't want to go into it, but he's doing okay right now, right?
Well, he's stable, yeah.
He's stable, okay.
I know he's playing League of Legends for the most part.
Yeah, well, that's good.
So he's still in gamer form, which is good.
That's awesome for Space. And if you don't know who Space is, you don't know about it, Google it if you want to cry, basically. So yeah, it's really sad and it sucks, but awesome that he's still pumping and trooping. And
dude, I just want to point out that Mojawi was probably one of my favorite teams at the time. I love the name, I love the roster, and then they died, and I was very upset. So I mean, it's good to go back to the days when Mojawi was playing. FoCuS in the bottom left, gonna open Blade Master. Indeed. Which was still imbalanced in 1.24, so we'll see how it goes there.
Well, yeah, and just to recap on the changes, essentially what's happened since 1.24 to 1.26 to the Blade Master is that the Windwalk, the duration has been reduced by about 15 seconds at level 2 and 3, and that's not exactly right, but that more or less is the metric. And also the bigger change, really, for Orc players at that time was that Raider's cooldown for Ensnare was 12 seconds, and it lasted 12 seconds on a unit, and it got bumped up to 16-second cooldown, and it still lasts 12 seconds. Actually, I think it lasts 10 seconds now on a unit. I don't quite know when that change happened, but I think it's 10.
Yeah, I think you could hold a unit with only 2 raiders.
Oh yeah, like well, back then you should. I don't know if it was 1.24 or 1.21, but at one point Raiders cooldown was the exact same as its cast time or its length, so it was it was 12 seconds and 12 seconds. But anyway, yeah, we can see Mojawi FoCuS. He is going to creep. He's going to pick up a Claws of Attack right off the bat. He does have that Voodoo Lounge right beside this creep camp, and that essentially is going to say, hey, I'm going to creep out a little bit, get some XP, get an item, and then as soon as that's done, I can actually come right here to this shop and pick up myself a healing salve and heal myself up, and then I have the option of running straight over to the undead side of the map and maybe, trying to get a creep jack, maybe doing some harass. Really, you can kind of choose what you want to do at that point, but generally your two styles of play are going to be either A, you go ahead and try to creep up to level 3, and we just saw something. It looks like a Voodoo Lounge was trying to be built up here by this this mercenary camp, and it was actually.
I think he was trying to save his. He was trying to save his peon.
Oh, was he? Oh, okay, I didn't see. Did you see what happened?
I think he was trying to dodge the fiend attack with his peon, and now I think he's gonna go for the ward. Okay. I think both players are gonna try and get that ward really fast for map control. I think that's what he's going to do.
He could definitely do that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if he does that, then what I'm going to assume is he's probably going to try to creep to level 3, because that's essentially your two styles of play. Either one, you go ahead and try to do some harass at level 1, or sometimes level 2, but generally level 1, or you try to creep to level 3, because, if you don't get that early on, if the undead player is able to creep out to level 2, then it's generally going to be a lot harder. And I don't think we're going to see Space trying to get that ward, because he probably knows that the Blade Master's around here.
Oh, that's Blade Master picking up a Tome of Experience. And Carson, I think I asked you this a while back, but I talked to you about how many peons you usually tech with, and you were saying about 6 or 7. FoCuS went with 6 here. Is that normal? Does it really matter? How many peons?
It does really matter. I mean, it depends. He might go for a fast tier 3, which really would determine on his, or would depend on his wood count. I mean, he might go for a Spirit Lodge, but I doubt it. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I think he lost his scout peon and he didn't want to rebuild it because of that tech timing. So it's not going to be a huge deal, but he might have a slower tier 3 if that's what he's going for.
Oh, okay. And at the same time, Mojawi Space is going to creep out the green camp, the green Murgles, right outside his natural expansion. Going to get 2.4 on his DK. At the same time, FoCuS is looking for the creep jack. Notices that the Undead's not up there, so he's going to steal that null anyway and get some experience and probably level 3.
He's going to get to level 3, yeah.
There it is. And also, I would point out that while Mojawi Space was actually running around trying to do a little bit of harass with that Death Knight, he was actually creeping with his army, which is really efficient and really smart versus a Blade Master who's creeping to level 3, because you don't want to get behind. But by doing that harass, he could have... There was actually a chance that he would have gotten a kill on the Blade Master, because that Blade Master was tanking that shop creep right here, and it was getting pretty low, and if he had FoCuS made a bit of a mistake or something there, he could have lost the Blade Master from that. So that was actually something that I think Space was hoping to get. We're actually going to see a Grunt getting ensnared, just scouting this mercenary camp just to see if it was being crept out by Space, which means he's going to lose that Grunt, which is a little bit unfortunate for him.
At the same time, his Blade Master knows the army's there. He's going to go and get a creep jack. He's going to focus down the DK. And right click is so good in 1.24 as it is in 1.26. And I think he's going to windwalk and try to get more damage done on that DK, maybe force a teleport. There he goes. He hits it one more time.
Yeah, that's definitely going to force a TP. And, I mean, it's at the cost of mana. That's not such a bad thing. Plus, we, of course, have boots on the Blade Master and no boots on that Death Knight.
He's got a cloak. He's got a cloak.
He's got a cloak. Oh, he does TP. And at the same time, Space is getting +1. He just finished his +1 Fiend attack. His Fiends are going to be...
This Death Knight might still die.
Doing a lot more damage.
It looks like FoCuS is going for a Spirit Lodge and a Bestiary.
No, it shouldn't die because there's no dust on that Blade Master.
Maybe the DK will move. I think Space knows that he's coming in and he's holding position right here. Really smart play. FoCuS is going to have to get out of the base. Or maybe play a little too cheeky.
And try to, get the Blade Master to reveal with a coil or something. But maybe he will just walk out. Okay, fair enough.
FoCuS just walks out. He's going to pick up a Tauren Chieftain, which is almost halfway done, and a Spirit Lodge and Bestiary. Yeah, he's going to go pretty standard in regards to this matchup. Tauren Chieftain obviously really good because of his War Stomp, which stuns your units, including the heroes, and the Endurance Aura, which is really good for units.
And he is going for that other ward now. And what you were saying earlier about that one peon dying, going for the 6 peon tech, the only thing that is going to delay is his Berserker upgrade or his tier 3 that he just went for. I guess he's not going for the fast Berserker upgrade.
Nope, he's going to go straight to tier 3, which is interesting. He's going to have a really good timing here. When he does
especially because he's going for the Spirit Walkers as well, which is really going to be heavy on his economy.
Yep, and I don't really agree with FoCuS's creep patterns, especially seeing that Space crept out the Merc camp. It's going to have to mean that FoCuS is going to have to go way outside his base to creep. He's going to have to go to his natural expansion, which the Undead's going to know where he is, because right now the fact that he took out that Merc camp, he can't creep on the right side for the most part, and yeah, I mean, Space has an idea of where he's going to creep because of how Space crept his side of the map.
Yeah, and I would say, like, just the thing, if I remember correctly, around this time was shortly after the metagame. I don't know if you guys know about back then, but it was around the time where Orc players had been doing a lot of tier 2 expansions, and then Undead players started doing this big Fiend push with Pit Lord as their third hero. It was kind of like a big timing attack, essentially, and it caused a lot of Orc players to start playing tier 3 tech, and we didn't really see tier 3 tech before that for Orcs for the most part, and I think that's pretty much why we start seeing, at the time, it wasn't a very well fleshed out strategy. It was something that Orc players, they would just get it tier 3 as fast as they could to get that orb, and then they would try to, and they would essentially, if they wanted for an expansion, they would go for the Tiny Great Hall expand, which is a lot safer versus a Pit Lord third attack, because if you have the Pit Lord, or the Orb of Lightning, you can do a lot more pressure and a lot more damage, even if your second hero isn't as well, or you're sitting at like 50 food versus 60 or something like that. It's just more defendable, and plus you have more time to actually build up your army and bank a little bit, since you're not expanding as soon as you hit 50 food, or 40 food in some cases even.
Yep, and FoCuS right now is going to creep out his Tauren Chieftain at the Goblin Merchant outside FoCuS's base. Going to pick up level 2 on his Tauren Chieftain, and the Blade Master's just looking for the army. I think he knows the army's over there. He's just not going.
He did scout it. What he did was he was gonna creep jack him at the Merc camp, but then his windwalk timer died out. So then Space saw him and he dusted. So then he didn't actually go for the creep jack. Instead, he was just walking around and windwalk scouting his base and whatnot, and didn't actually go for any creep jacks.
Yep, and FoCuS is going to hit tier 3 right now, and at the same time, Space is almost 2/3 done his tech. So this is both going to go into a late game. I believe that Space is going to go for Destro Fiend push, and FoCuS is just going to rely on a Lightning ward or Lightning Orb. Is that why Orcs go for tier 3?
Yeah, it's pretty much for Lightning Orb. Also, the Tiny Great Hall again is pretty much the safe way to expand.
And the Kodo upgrade is pretty imbalanced.
The Kodo upgrade is also very, very good for your Blade Master damage. And of course, on a map like Melting Valley, where you can get a lot of damage items, you know, a Kodo can be really important. We actually see a Sapper being picked up right now from FoCuS, and I think we're about to see level 3 on that Tauren Chieftain as well. Indeed, we do right there. And so that's really good for FoCuS. Of course, Space now trying to move out. I don't think we're going to see Space really actively attempting to fight FoCuS at this point. He could probably take a fight right now, maybe. I'm not sure it would do too well, because that generally your goal is to go ahead and knock that Tauren Chieftain down before he gets to level 3.
I think if he could take out the Spirit Walker, he's going to be in really good shape to take a fight. I think he's going to foil that, and I think it's going to die. And
it's definitely going to die.
Spirit Link taken away is really, really good. I'm wondering where the coil is. At the same time, FoCuS his blade. He's gonna run up to. And at the same time, FoCuS is gonna run up to the top. Oh, I was wondering if he was gonna make the BM tank, but at the same time, a speed scroll, yeah, it doesn't get slowed. He's gonna go straight for these 2 Zigs. He's gonna get it. Boom.
Oh. 39 out of 30 food on Space. He can't go into Destroyer form now. He definitely cannot take a fight. Absolutely no chance of that. And I guess if we look, we can see. I mean. FoCuS with his Blade Master in this army in a proper position, I don't think he's going to have a problem, but he definitely didn't want to fight, and he did have that Sapper, so why not go ahead and use that to the best of your advantage? And in this case, taking out 2 Sappers for the 2 Ziggurats, that's 300 gold for the, and actually a Nerubian as well, so that's 400 gold for the price of, you know, I think it's 240 gold for the Sapper. That's a good trade. And also we're going to see FoCuS going ahead and creeping out this Ogre camp right here, this Goblin Laboratory on his side of the map as well, giving him another good item potentially. As you can see, he did pick up healing wards from the other camp. And of course, at this point, both of his heroes are level 3, so he can gladly use his Blade Master in this fight. Picking up a Hellstone, which is one heck of an item, especially because you need to have big survivability items on your Blade Master if you're playing Tauren Chieftain second. So that's a great one right there for you.
Yep, and he's going. I was wondering why FoCuS is getting Ancestral Spirit on his. He's getting Master Training on Spirit Walker. I think not because he's going Tauren, but because he is going. He just wants more mana for Spirit Links.
Yeah,
more mana, and if they
because
die,
yeah. I mean, with Ancestral Spirit, you can make Taurens and then you can revive them. That's the ability. But I think also if you get the Master Upgrade, you get more mana, additional mana to your Spirit Walkers.
And your health. Yeah.
And additional health.
Another
so
Sapper. Another Sapper for FoCuS.
Oh, hello. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, another Sapper. And there is a speed scroll on that Blade Master.
Scouted.
Oh, is he going to get killed by this? I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely going to go down. Just blew it up so he didn't give any experience.
That was a really good play. Because, I mean, feeding these heroes right now, he wants to keep that Lich at level 2. And every bit of experience makes FoCuS, like, or makes Space, rather, more strong in a fight. I wonder if he's going to try to snipe this statue while he's here. Or bring his army up. He's definitely bringing his army up to take this fight. At the same time, Space is almost, like, crept this, so it's going to be a really good timing. FoCuS is definitely going to have the edge here. He's going to have the positioning. Tauren Chieftain is going to come in, and the Tauren Chieftain has healing wards, which are also going to help him. Yep, and he's focusing down the Destroyer. This is going to get messy.
We can see right off the bat, as soon as this fight goes into the way, pretty much their goal was to do a lot of damage to that Blade Master. Now they're going to go ahead and start saying, well, let's pick off these Raiders, maybe pick off these Grunts. Of course, we do have 2 Destroyers in this fight. We can go ahead and eat those Spirit Links. That gives mana to the Destroyers, and of course, mana Destroyers do a lot of damage to those Grunts and the Raiders. As you can see, lots of the Orc units being picked off. He's not really worrying about the heroes right now, simply because those heroes are very tanky, and his army is doing a ton of damage. Go ahead and take those down. Take out a Spirit Walker as well, and now these Berserkers are also, they're just going to be food as soon as those guys die. And of course, we're going to see a little bit of damage being done to that Lich. Lich does have the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. He also does have a, well, there we go ahead and got coiled, but we saw a Death Pact being used by the Death Knight on a Fiend right there to go ahead and keep him alive, and I think Space won that fight pretty well.
Definitely, and that was all due to undeads. Generally, when they see an orc rushing in, they get freaked out, and they forget that destroyers have absorb magic. They devour it, and
I wouldn't say professional undead players do.
Well, you know, noobs like myself, we get our nerd shakes and we lose. But I mean, he devoured the Spirit.
Running in,
yeah, and I think this Tauren Chieftain is in a lot of trouble. You might have to pop that invulnerability, considering the Lich has Nova, the DK has Coil, and we're probably going to see invulnerability pot.
And a salvo. Did he salvo?
The salvo, I think the I don't know.
That was odd. I
thought I saw
it.
Salve. It might have got canceled by a Fiend attack, because I think sometimes that can happen if you take a Fiend, because of the way the Fiend attack attacks. You know how it's like a delayed projectile, but it's kind of a weird one. So sometimes it can cancel a Salve through and roll that way, but only like for the first second. And so I think that's what happened. I'm not entirely sure, but that's kind of what it looked like. If you're a viewer, you can just, you can rewind 2 seconds and look, but so that's up to you.
And now Space is going for a Boneyard, so we're gonna see some worms.
Actually, he might have cast the Healing Salve before the Invul even. I don't know. That might.
I don't think he did, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, but that might have been. But anyway, yeah. So to get off that, you're right, absolutely. There's a Boneyard Worms. We do have a shade out right now. If we look at the food count, we can see, of course, 50 food out of 64 Space. He does need to throw down another Ziggurat to support that Boneyard if he wants to actually go into upkeep. There it is, and that'll allow him to go up to 70 food. For FoCuS, we can see FoCuS is sitting at 50 out of 60 as well. Also in the same situation, needing to throw down another burrow before he decides to break. Or, maybe if he decides to bank up to about 700, 800 gold, he could throw down the burrow as soon as he gets out the Raider and, the next stuff. As soon as he breaks up, he puts down the burrow. And that's not a bad idea to go either, because essentially in that case, you're saying, well, I don't necessarily know if I'm going to need to break upkeep, and it looks like that's what we're seeing right now. He's gonna go ahead and break that upkeep, and that could indicate that, one, he wants to go for an expansion, or maybe he just thinks, I can take a fight, etc. Who knows? But he is creeping out of red camp right now. It's a very big red camp, and of course it does a lot of AoE damage to ground units, so he did go ahead and toss down that healing ward, basically try to heal up his army from that last fight. Also, just again, this creep camp is a lot of damage. What item did he get? It looks like he got a Cloak of Shadows, or a Cloak of Flames, I'm sorry. That basically gives you Immolation, or up here we can see Space considering creeping out his Granite Golem. Okay, I'm going to pull it with a statue, actually, which is a bit of an interesting thing. And watch the way he pulls this. He's going to go ahead and try to block these guys, get them separated so they don't do as much damage, and also make their AI not want to throw rocks and do a Thunderclap, because Fiends are very fragile, and if you get jacked during something like this, it's very bad. Meanwhile,
such smart play. Such smart play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And he did scout FoCuS creeping his red with a skeleton right before he went in to creep it. He saw him pulling it, so then he feels safe to creep his own and even it up with items.
That's a very good analysis call. And also, we can just see there's that shade if he's just sitting right on top of the army right here. And I would say, again, just one more note, you did go ahead and use that healing ward as well in this creep camp. It's a good idea, because honestly, during a fight, if you try to throw down a healing ward versus destroyers, the destroyers will simply eat it. You feed mana that way, it's not really any good point.
And versus any pro, it's pretty much going to get picked, especially with this mid-range units, it's just going to get picked off right away and be a waste. You can have way more efficient creeping if just you're using it like he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Cloak of Flame is also going to be the item of pickup for Space. Now, if we look, we can actually see a bat is being made. I'm kind of surprised FoCuS still hasn't thrown down a burrow yet. He's still at 59 out of 60 food. The only thing I could think of at this point is maybe he wants to go ahead and try to get a tiny Great Hall, which would provide 10 food and build in like 10 seconds. But then that would mean he's expanding at 59 out of 60 food. A little bit of an odd thing. He doesn't quite have enough gold for it. He needs about 300 more. But we'll see if that's his goal or not. And actually, let's look at the upgrades as well. We can see those Headhunters at 0-0, Raiders at 0-0. So no upgrades other than Master Walkers for FoCuS. Over here for Space, however, we can see 1-1 upgrades on those ranged units and 2-1 just now hitting. Also, we can see that he is going to 80 food out of for Ziggurats, and he has 2 Worms queued as well as an Abomination. So this could potentially go pretty well for Space. He's also starting to make a Crypt Lord. So yeah, I would say we can see actually.
Sure. I also want to point out that Blade Master has a Scroll of Healing, no Invuln Pot, and only 1 Spirit Walker. If Space focuses down that Spirit Walker, there's going to be no link, and that Blade Master is going to be so vulnerable to nukes. It's almost going to take him out of the fight, and Space's army is looking really, really well to do a lot of damage.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Space is scouting this expo time. He's putting up a burrow and a watchtower at that expo, and Space just scouted it.
Yeah.
Yep, he's probably going to keep his shade on the spot where the expo can go so that it doesn't go up. Yeah, that's what he's going to do
smart
right
play,
now.
Yeah, patrolling, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, one thing I would say about this right here, in this sort of situation, is that this is kind of like... Heavy Air does pretty well versus Berserkers, although Berserkers kind of were I guess they're like the adaptation to the old APM strategy, where Bats didn't quite work because there was, the armor upgrades, and then Orc players started getting the tier 3 orb, they started going with the Berserkers, and they started getting like high attack upgrades for the Berserkers, and that was actually what dealt with the Frostworms really well, was the mad damage. But in this case, there's no upgrades on those Berserkers, so they're not really going to hurt too much. There are 2 Bats, however, so I guess that's supposed to take the The count there, we'll see a reveal to kill that Shade. Those down, I think that's a yes, that is a tiny Great Hall, and indeed that's going to give him up to 70, actually up to 80 food between that Burrow and that Great Hall. And at this point, Space is just saying, I need to finish up my army, and then I'm going to push. And it looks like it's finished up right now. I'm going to go ahead and unsummon that Boneyard, saying this is my last push. Either this works, if it doesn't, then I lose. So I don't need to worry about getting any more Boneyards out, any more worms out, because worms, frankly, they take a long time to make. So I'm not going to have that long to wait. And so he says, okay, he's going to push. And let's see, does he have any mana potions? No mana potions. He does have a Scroll of Healing on that Lich, as well as a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. There are those two bats just looking to get some damage right off the bat. However, they're just going to end up being scouts at this point, saying, you know what, there's no way I can do that. There's a third bat, in fact. And if we look down here, I mean, FoCuS' items, like you said before, not really anything on that Blade Master at all at this point. In fact, he did pass that Scroll of Healing over to the Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain is level 5, though, which is going to be a very big AoE War Stomp radius. There's a
Here comes
bat.
a huge push by Space. He's going to
no TP, no TP by Space.
Yeah, this is his this is an all-in push. It's like either this fails or it doesn't. And if it doesn't,
he does
wins.
have the food advantage.
He does.
Oh, and FoCuS gets 2 of his bats snare web. Sorry, 3, 4.
All 4 big plays.
Oh.
Big War Stomp coming in on that Death Knight. That Death Knight's taking a ton of damage. If he dies during the stun, he won't be able to get. There it is. The Death Pack is gonna be able to back off just a little bit. Would you see that Blade Master is taking a ton of damage? He's gonna have a potion of healing bought from the shop. He did have in the beef right before the fight started. Level 5 being picked up by the Blade Master. Of course, you can see in the back there are gonna be a couple of raiders taking some damage as well. One worm has already gone down to this insane focus fire. There is a nice ensnare on that second worm, bringing him right into range of those Troll Berserkers. It's gonna go down as well. And of course, that is a lot of the damage. Of course, we still have 2 bats still left up right now. We're going to see one of those going down. A couple of nice dispels coming in from those destroyers as well. And very big War Stomp coming in from that Tauren Chieftain. However, will slightly miss the Death Knight. Of course, that Blade Master taking a load of damage as well. Going to get forced out at 109 HP. And it looks like Space is actually going to be able to take the win on this fight right here. I mean, of course, that's not the end of the game for him yet, because that hero, both of those heroes are still up, and there's still looks like 4 Berserkers on the field as well as a Raider. That Spirit Walker will go down, and there's not going to be nearly as much healing on for the undead player. If he had a statue right now, he'd be good. He's got them on the way. They are queued up, but he still has to take down this expansion before it starts paying off, or he's going to be behind.
Yeah, but I mean, huge fight by Space, and that less the no Spirit Link and the Blade Master being so vulnerable, he barely even fought. I mean, he came out of Windwalk, he got nuked, and then he Windwalked again, and he was useless. He came out of Windwalk, he got nuked, and at the same time, he only has a health pot, which doesn't it saves him for a bit. The Tauren Chieftain's gonna have a huge stomp right there, probably gonna, and he's gonna focus down that Lich. He kind of has to. That Frost Armor is doing amazing.
Yeah, however, of course, there is level 5 on that Death Knight. He does have enough mana to cast a couple more War Stomps, or a couple more coils. We actually see him back to cast. Oh, he goes down to 260 damage, critical strike.
That right click.
That could be good game for Space. It looks that way. As you can see, he doesn't have anything left here. He lost his Crippler.
Oh, wow.
He's going to get picked off. There's no way for this Lich out of this fight. There is, of course, a Raider. There's also that Blade Master with the Orb. Yeah, this is not looking good for Space whatsoever. He's trying to kill that Tauren Chieftain, but that Tauren Chieftain just at level 6, which means he has Reincarnate. Gonna go ahead and FoCuS goes ahead and kills his Tauren Chieftain and uses Blade Master, Blade Storm. FoCuS or Space says good game, congratulations, etc., etc., and there you have it.
That was amazing. Honestly, I thought Space was well ahead.
I thought Space had, though, he had really nice webs at the end there, really nice positioning on his air units. I thought he totally had it won, but just good hero focus, good right click.
Well, I mean, FoCuS getting that 200. I don't know if he would have won that fight without that 260 damage crit there at the end.
And 280 as well.
Well, the thing is because the thing was like the Death Knight. If you could have tanked just a little bit longer, you could have got a Death Pack off, which would have brought him back up. But then he only had one more coil, and he would either decided, do I use that defensively or do I use that aggressively? And even in that sort of situation, it's not going to be too great of a decision because you have to do something to get that Blade Master dead, or you can't keep pushing. And of course, those statues were on their way in, but they weren't quite there yet. So my post-game analysis was I think FoCuS probably had the advantage going into that last fight, but I don't know.
I mean, Space seemed to dominate every single fight except for that one. I mean, that wasn't even really a fight. It was just the DK getting so nuked. And maybe Space should have thought about that. I mean, I know as an undead player, I never go into a fight without having something to protect my Death Knight. And, I mean, he had the Invuln pot on the Lich.
Yeah, it's a rough call because you can have your Death Knight be War Stomped, and then your Lich can go down in just like 2 or 3 hits from the Blade Master, or you can put it on your Death Knight who already has Death Pact. I mean, you know, he tried his best to avoid those war stomps, and he microed really well. I don't know if you noticed that. When you said there was going to be a big war stomp, you could see it was a big war stomp. But, no, it was pretty big, but, I mean, Space moved his units out. But, again, level 3 war stomp is just a huge radius, and you could see that, like, literally, it was about a 4 to 5 fiend width away that the War Stomp actually hits and stuns units all around him at level 3. So it's really a big one, and it still stunned a lot of units. And, you know, Space, if he had moved back just a little bit more, he might have been able to avoid that. He might have actually been able to win the fight. I don't know. It was definitely very close, though, in my opinion.
Overall, great game.
Yeah, that was a
really
great
well
game.
played by both players.
And one more note before we actually end this. Well, actually, I want to say thank you to both Bidoux and Carson. 1 for casting, and 2 for putting up with the whole pre-casting. You might not imagine it, but there's a lot that goes into it. And big thanks to these guys, because I think we took about an hour just to get into this game.
Yeah, it was about an hour or so.
A little bit. It was very frustrating, because a couple of times
long time.
we thought we had a replay and it didn't work out. But anyway, so yeah, big thanks to those guys for sticking around and actually doing this. And if you guys liked having Carson in, you know, feel free to, you know, put it in a comment, say something. And again, don't worry, me and Bidoux will still do cast, and I'll still do solo cast.
Don't be too harsh on me. This is my first cast ever.
Oh man, you got to do the Napoleon Dynamite. You got to do it.
I don't know.
You got to do it, man. If anyone knows
you're putting them on the spot.
the 1 week program, man.
You're doing
honestly
terrible things.
You sign up right now for my 1 week program.
If anyone has seen Napoleon Dynamite, they know what
anyone that's seen the Craftmaster 3000 knows that voice.
Okay, well,
exactly.
Well, you know, it was kind of hard to do this with 3 people. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will hopefully recast some other time, and yeah, thank you.
Ricky?
Yeah, I just want to say that you'll always catch me up here doing the ZOTAC Cup casting on Saturdays. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. We love the feedback. We love doing it. So, as well as doing commentaries with Pure, I'll try to keep that up as well. Time is a factor. We've been trying to juggle in between our busy schedules to make it happen, and we'll keep that going for you. Just feedback's always good, man.
And finally, we know the first map was actually Turtle Rock. We're not stupid. I know. I'm just kidding. But we might cast that game in the future as well, because that looked pretty interesting at the start. So just before anyone says, "Hey, cast the first game," it's in the consideration queue. It is. That's there. We might watch that one sometime tomorrow. Maybe sometime in 2 weeks. Maybe in a month. I don't know when, but it's a contender. So that's that. And I will see you all of. Well, I guess all of us. Well, some of us. One of us, at least. We'll see you next time.